Okay, so our main projects are located near north of Val-d'Or, Quebec, and we've recently acquired a fairly significant project just to the east of Kirkland Lake, Ontario, and I'll get into the detail. So, I mean, two really strong projects, both Abitibi, Archean high-grade gold projects, and great infrastructure. There's no challenges there, no challenges with permitting or anything like that. And on the books right now, as a starter, we've got about 1.2 million ounces at 7-ish grams average between the two projects. So we've got a good start, but we're busy expanding on them. Management-wise, it's a technical management team, and we've got representation from Osisko Mining on our board, and they are one of our large shareholders. Abitibi, the belt itself, so we're located, as you can see, Quebec, and then more well-known, I guess, would be the Larder Lake area, where we have 3 gold deposits, basically between Kirkland Lake, Ontario, and the Kerr Addison mine, which produced 11 million ounces. The land package itself started with the 2 darker yellow areas, and that's Coliseum and Arena. And our trend is loosely kind of east-west, and the lightly shaded areas in yellow are the land packages that we added just this year. So we established the trend, and then we built on that, in terms of a land package. These would be the bulk of our results from this winter. So we've had 1 full season to drill, and this is on our Quebec project. So you can see, good grades, good widths overall, and pretty consistent as well, as we stepped out from our main deposit and we hit 20 out of 20 drill holes. So here's a mag, a very general mag map, and you can see that basically they're fault or shear bounded mafic hosts where there's an interruption or a slight fold and producing a dilation on the mafics. That's where these gold deposits tend to be. Location-wise, we're 8 kilometers southeast of Windfall, which Osisko is busy building up and potentially building into a fairly large mine. There was a discovery announced this week right here by Metnor, so that was interesting. And we've got other deposits along trend, but clearly you can see that the structures light up generally with this mag. We get a lot of questions. It's early, but we do get a lot of questions about consistency. Basically, these are level plans, and we're showing multi-hundreds of meters in strike length, up to 700 meters so far, but building on that. The deposit started on this spit of land a couple of years ago, and that's all it was until this winter. We stepped out on the ice over the winter and tripled the length of it. Now what we're attempting to do is joining it up with this other deposit called Rivage. And should we be successful, we'll have a 1.2 to 1.5 kilometer long deposit here. So it's getting fairly sizable. Our modeling is starting to, getting a good handle on it. We've got all the components people like to see. Got a felsic, mineralized felsic intrusive porphyry, regional shear, and then sort of the classic Rydell type mineralized veins coming off of that. This is the area we're drilling now and into the winter, so it's wide open. hoping to join up with this rivage zone, which would add a great deal of mass to this deposit. This is probably the key slide for this deposit. So this is what we started with. This is where there is a resource of just under 300,000 ounces at 9 grams. Over the winter, we really expanded on this. And currently we're drilling below 600 meters down here. And we just started with a second rig to try to fill in this gap between this rivage zone and the main zones. So, you know, we started with a few hundred meters of strike down just below 200 meters in depth. We're looking currently at a 1.2 kilometer strike length down below 600 meters in depth. So these dimensions are, you know, they're becoming sizable. And so we're really looking forward to drill results all winter from these areas that we've got outlined in green. Another parallel zone is shaping up quite nicely as well. It's our footwall zone, you know, high grade over good width again. Our interpretation now is, again, coming up with all the classic Abitibi things that people are looking for in these deposits. So there's a kind of that felsic, mineralized felsic intrusive, stacked veins, steeply dipping up against and crossing mafic rock hosts. Geophysically, we're trying different things, but basically we're looking for interference patterns that are going to cause slight folding in those mafic zones, and that's where we expect, of course, the dilation to happen and mineralization to gather. Geochemically speaking, we've conducted a large till sampling operation this summer, and the encouraging part of this is that Osisko also did a large sampling program and really lit the ends of our belt up. So some of their best results was right off the ends of our belt, and we'll be getting these results within a month or two. And this, you know, our main deposit's here, so that kilometer strike length is just in this little area here. So we've got a lot of ground to cover. We've got the geophysics, we've got the geochem coming, and you know, a lot of good signs here. Now, what we see are classic, you know, veins, smoky quartz with sphalerite, pyrite, and free gold. The sphalerite's an excellent indicator for us. Usually, we get really good grades when we encounter the sphalerite. So moving on to our second project, which is Larder Lake. We just acquired this summer. So essentially right off the highway between Kirkland Lake, Ontario and Rouen. Famous area, obviously. On the books, you know, this is what we're starting with, is about a 960,000 ounce 5.5 gram resource currently, but that's really just a base. So our property package as it stands, and we're building on this now, is this sort of 20 kilometer stretch of the Kirkland Larder Break just off the main highway. The Kerr Addison mine occurs right here, and that you know, was one of the best mines in North America. It was a 4,500 ton a day producer, produced 11 million ounces out of a very compact area, so it was a very efficient mine. So we now own a stretch basically of this Kirkland Larder belt, and our three main deposits, Fernland, Chemanis, and Bear. And Bear has seen the bulk of the most recent drilling. It's been drilled down below 2,500 feet, And obviously, you know, we can see some of these results are pretty good. But one of the things I didn't realize when we took this on was the amount of development that had occurred in the Chemanis mine in the 80s and 90s. So there was a few 100,000 tons mined at about 5 grams, but classic kind of green carbonate ore, the same as the Kerr-Addison had. So green carbonate and flow ore, those were the two classic types, which is essentially an altered mineralized mafic unit, and the green carb is a altered ultramafic unit. So we possess all of that, and development down to about 1,000 feet, a ton of drilling, and we're really just getting a handle on this area for ourselves now. So a plan view of this area, you're looking at a 3.5 kilometer strike length of a whole string of gold deposits. Really, the way I'm looking at it is treating it as one deposit instead of separately as it has been in the past. So basically, you've got your Kirkland Larder Fault represented here, and floor in the footwall, and green carbonate ore in the hanging wall. Our modeling has just started on this. It's a bit rudimentary now, but we are getting a handle on this. It's early days for us. And as far as you know, the structure of Bonterra itself, it's under 90 million shares, trading around $30 million market cap currently. You know, some pretty knowledgeable investors in terms of Osisko Mining and CMP and US Global. So that's Bonterra. 2 main projects: Quebec, Ontario, high grade, and you know, good start for this company. So I could take a few questions if you like.
Okay. Any questions? Maybe you could tell us a little in terms of the next steps. What are going to be the next news items coming in the next couple of months?
So the bulk of the news will come from drilling that's going on now, and that'll be expansion drilling in the, you know, extending the deposit along strike and to depth. So you'll see 20 to 30,000 meters come out of this deposit over the next 8 months, and the sort of priority 2 will be the Kirkland Lake Larder Lake area, where we may actually be in a position to work on a 43-101 for that, but I'd say we'll do some drilling there first. So, you know, first prize is expanding the deposit in Quebec, and second is building on what we have in Ontario.
And when could you expect to have a 43-101?
I think about the middle of next year for the Quebec deposit, and roughly around the same time for Ontario as well.
A 43-101 also?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, any other questions? Gentleman on the left.
Sorry, did you say you just got involved with that Larder Lake project just recently?
That's correct. We acquired it this summer.
And can you give us some details of that, sort of the purchase, sort of the deal around that? Is that public knowledge?
It's all public, but that was, we issued 10 million shares at 40 cents and 1 million in cash over 4 years. So basically we bought the actual ounces for $4 to $6 an ounce. But like I said, I think it's just the beginning of what we have there.
We all like Osisko Mining. What is their exact percentage? At what price did they buy? Do you have an idea?
Right now, they're just under 10%. And they're Well, they've come in a couple of times, but I think their average price is in around the high 20s.
And your share is trading where?
The high 20s right now. 20
Well,
to 30 cents.
If we can get
25 to
in
30.
at the same price in Cisco, it might be worth an in-depth look. Any other questions? Because usually us private investors or institutions, we come in late in the game when everybody's had a 10-bagger, and then here, second row.
Could you imagine to sell the Quebec project?
Could you repeat the question?
Yeah. Can you imagine to sell the Quebec project to Cisco and focus on the Larder Lake?
It's a
Generating cash to develop that
yeah, it's a possibility.
apparently
I mean,
attractive project?
it's very early. I mean, we've got obviously a lot of work to do on the Quebec property, and they have, they've stated that their full focus is on building a deposit and a mine in our area. So it's kind of logical, but for now we're going to work with what we have for now.
Okay, fine. Well, thank you very much for this presentation, and we can give them a big round of applause.